Hey everyone, welcome back to Immediate Movie Reactions. However, today we don't have a movie reaction, we actually have a video game reaction, as you saw from the title, which is probably why you clicked on the link. Anyway, I do appreciate, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about the game Lies of P. It's interesting, can't really do an immediate reaction to a video game, because it needs to develop and you need to see how the story progresses and if you enjoy it over time. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not a huge Souls fan. I played a few of the games. I think Remnant from the Ashes, I played a couple dozen hours of it and enjoyed that, but didn't really get into it enough to, I think, fully understand or appreciate it. I do regret it. I kind of want to go back to that one. And of course, Elden Ring, which I think is an outlier. And I'm going to compare a little bit Lies of P to that, but it's an unfair comparison. That is a clear 10 out of 10 game, one of the greatest games, I think, of all time. This game is not that. It is more a classic Souls, Dark Souls type game. I have played some of the Dark Souls games. I'm never good enough to be good at those games, so I get really frustrated and then I end up quitting. And what I like about this game is, even though it could very much, we could argue that this is a clone and not a Souls-inspired game. Everything from the menu to the esoteric stat spread and, vigor and vitality and technique and motivity, like what the hell? And by the way, why the crap? We don't freaking need another stat for capacity, right? For how much we can carry. Let's just tie that into our strength and our endurance. Okay. So anyway, I'm sorry. That's really frustrating. And what this game doesn't do, which I think again, Elden Ring is an unfair comparison, but what Elden Ring does is if you click on the stats, it will explain kind of what it does. This game doesn't really do any of that, which again could be just a holdover from the Souls type experience. And that's what always frustrates me with these games, is that you're fighting against these kind of obtuse systems and you're fighting against figuring out what's going on, and you're trying to deal with sorry, but generally really crappy controls. A lot of times in these games like Dark Souls 2, trying to cross that stupid bridge with a stupid dragon and dying over and over and over and over again. At least for me, I know people get through it really easily. But again, if you're, low to average skill like I am, they get really frustrating. So where I loved this game is it feels like it's got better controls. It moves a little bit faster. It's a little more responsive. I think that the dodge is a little more reliable. The perfect parry system, I think, is absolutely fantastic. I love that. It's forgiving enough that someone like me can pull it off relatively on a regular basis and really enjoy the game. I think that what ends up happening, though, is that you very quickly fall into a rhythm that gets repetitive. So when I first envisioned this video, and I've been trying to, for a couple of days now, since it came out, I think it was Tuesday. What am I going to say about it? What am I going to do? I wanted to give some video. And I've got a couple clips, but what I found is that most of the clips are really kind of just the same. It's me trying to farm a certain area to get enough Exeter whatever souls so that I could level, so that I could beat that boss and move on to the next level, or get enough thrown items that I don't have to do the same repetitive pattern against fighting the boss. And what's happening with this game is it did pull me away from Starfield, which I wasn't sure any game was going to do, because I'm completely hooked on Starfield. However, this is the first time, I think, since Elden Ring that I find myself getting up a few minutes early in the morning so that I could have 15 to 20 minutes before work that I can play. Maybe just kill a couple of enemies. But I do find that combat loop satisfying. I enjoy it. I went with a technique-based character, so it's the dexterity system, and so I've got a rapier which I can dodge in and strike a couple times and dodge back, and that's kind of cool. Where I think it kind of falls apart, and that's where again I didn't really upload, gameplay video is because it does kind of just end up being the same thing over and over again. And I'm only a couple of levels into it. I've only started getting new weapons and, new abilities and that sort of thing. So that may change. Like, I love the grappling hook arm, grabbing enemies and pulling them. It changes a bit, even though I do find it's not necessarily very useful on bosses. Either they dodge it or it doesn't work on them. And I think, unfortunately, with Elden Ring and with the Souls games, one of the things that was fantastic was those big dynamic bosses. The bosses in this look cool. They're interesting. But unfortunately, they're just kind of damage sponges. There's a very basic pattern to all of their attacks. Generally, you wait for them to attack once, then they attack twice, and their weapon sticks in the ground, or their attack sticks kind of in the ground, and then you hit them. The hitbox on these bosses is frustratingly small. Particularly, you fight this on a bridge. You fight this donkey guy, which if you know the Pinnocchio story, then you may know where that's coming from. But anyway, and it's that same pattern, and it's dodging across the bridge, and then he comes in and he swings his giant sword at you, and it sticks in the ground, and you pop him a couple times, and you back away, and then you run to the other side. And that's kind of what I was doing, and you just do that over and over and over again. And if you're like me, and maybe you're not the best player, eventually it wears you down, and you die, and then you have to do it again, and it's like, what the hell? Like, it gets a little bit boring. But the overall, I like the story. The graphics are good, maybe not great. There's some weird things, like areas are blocked off by just loads of dead bodies everywhere. However, the bodies are weird. They don't look like they're actually part of the world. They're kind of set on top of the world, and there's there's dead horses everywhere, right? Because it's after the puppets have risen and I don't know, killed everybody or kind of killed everybody. There's also a plague going around. There's just a lot of shit happening. But the horses are kind of shiny, kind of weird looking, and they're just there to block you off. The enemy design is cool, but again, I find that I'm not paying any attention to them most of the time. I know when their attacks are coming in, and either the basic enemy, it's perfect parry, bop, 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 4 attacks. Even though I've got a 20 plus technique, dexterity, and upgraded my weapon, it still feels like it's just the same amount of hits all of the time. So I don't know, but I'm still even now, I want to go back. I want to go home. I want to play this game a little bit more. I want to continue playing it, and that's the difference. Is most of these Souls, Mortal Shell, Bloodborne, Surge, and any of these games that I've tried that are not Elden Ring, I get frustrated with, I get bored with, and I just kind of stop. I do wish this game were a little more expansive. Some of the areas are weirdly blocked off, and again, I don't need to be crawling into every corner if there's nothing there. But I like to have the option. This game does feel like it's in corridors, even if you're not in corridors. You're fighting down fighting down alleys and across streets and, up on rooftops and that sort of thing. I really think that once the game gets going and I start to understand the system a little bit more and what each of the items do, and especially, you have your 2 attacks. You have your right attack, which is your main weapon, then your left attack, which is like your cybernetic puppet arm. And like I said, right now I've got this grappling sort of hook that attached. That's cool. I think once those get going and I start to learn to use the items to recharge the powers, and the weapon durability, I like that. That's a kind of cool system. If you can just automatically, at any time, it feels like you can just continue fixing your weapon. I'm not sure what the point of that is. But it's still cool. There's a lot of little things that the system does, especially your character moving a little bit faster, dodging a little bit faster. Again, the responsiveness is better. I like the controls. I don't think it's going to win over any Souls. If you're not a Souls fan, it's not going to win you over. However, if you love Souls games, I think this game is going to be perfect for you. It's on Game Pass, right? That's where I started it. And why I'm playing it instead of waiting for a 75% off sale. So give it a try. I know I probably made some mistakes. Yeah. By the way, I do want to mention that no matter what, so far, whatever item, armor, modification I'm getting, my character still looks like Timothée Chalamet, which is a little bit strange. But he's all right. It is kind of cool how he gets covered in oil and that sort of thing from killing the puppets. But I would like maybe a little more customization. If I'm playing Elden Ring, I can look at my character and then I can look at my son's character, and they're completely different weapons and different armor, and what are we going to put together? I do want some more of that. Hopefully, as I get farther in the game, I'm only a couple of hours in, past the first couple of bosses. Hopefully that expands a little bit, but I'm not sure it will. So anyway, yeah, if you're a Souls fan, definitely check it out. If you're not, it's on Game Pass. Watch it on a Game Pass. Otherwise, pick it up on a sale or something. I think you might be pleasantly surprised. Whatever I messed up, please let me know in the comments below. What are you thinking of the game? What do you like it? And I will see you all after the next video or game or whatever it happens to be. Appreciate you watching. I know there's a lot of these out there. Thank you.